Shihai First Academy was in the middle of a speech, stating that today will be the day that this year's students will receive their class and forever alter their futures. He mentions that he hopes they will be able to reach the same heights as a previous student, Su Chanqing, an extremely strong hunter, who has become a pillar of hope for the human race. A holy mage who has reached the high level of AD. After hearing this, everyone around gets a serious look on their faces and begin looking over at Lin Maoyu, the top student at Shihai First Academy. But what people don't know is that he was reincarnated into this world and has been preparing for this day all his life. This world has mechanics similar to many RPGs, including dungeons, monsters and hidden treasures available for anyone who can find them. Once you receive your class, you can kill monsters in dungeons or in the wild to earn experience points, which is used to level up and gain new levels of power. In this world, countless heroes of humanity have reclaimed land from the dangerous monsters, allowing for humanity's continued survival. The most popular professions in this world, of course, are the combat classes, your average fantasy staple like close-range swordsmen and powerful spellcasters. Next after the combat class are the support classes, and then lastly livelihood classes. The combat and support classes get broken down into 5 grades: low, medium, high, rare and legendary. Legendary classes don't occur often. The entirety of Shihai City may not be able to produce one in 10 years. Suddenly Principal Lu Yun begins speaking, informing everyone that the transmutation circle is about to activate. Gao Yang, a classmate of Lin's, asks him what class he would want most. Gao states he wants to be a knight so he can protect the girls. He then mentions that Lin's and Xia Shui's results are so good they will probably get great classes. Before Lin can speak, another student interrupts and asks Gao why he's talking to that idiot, referring to Lin, and stating he doesn't talk and that he's only a little smarter than everyone, so what's so great about him? Gao stands up for Lin, asking the other student not to say that. It's just that Lin doesn't like to talk, so why should he have to? On the other side of the courtyard, Principal Lu is meeting with a man named Zhang Qian, a level 52 formation master. Lu states that he is sorry to bother Master Zhang, however Zhang proclaims that it's fine. Lin notices this and realizes the old man is an array master, or rare grade supporter class. Principal Lu begins the ceremony and calls the first participant, Suda, and tells them to walk into the transmutation circle. Upon entering into the circle, sparkling lights appear around Suda and he receives a profession from the livelihood class, farmer. Suda clutches his head and yells out he can believe he got a livelihood class and a farmer at that. The next participant also got a livelihood class but was happy to have inherited the same profession as his father. A chef. Zhang looks on, stating this year's students are quite average. Lu responds that they have never had a rare profession come from this school. Zhang retorts that it would be nice if they could have a rare grade from the combat class. Lu mentions that in the entire of Shihai City only 1 or 2 rare grades appear each year, so he shouldn't get his hopes up about that. Next up on the transmutation circle is Xia Shui, the second-place student in Shihai First Academy. As she walks up to the circle, Xia confidently states that she will show Lin Moyu who the real genius is. Xia thinks to herself that although they were both referred to as geniuses, Lin would always do better on every test, whether physical or academic, but this time she will not let him best her. Zhang notices Xia and proclaims that she has a lot of potential. Principal Lu asks why he thinks this, and he responds stating this girl's mental strength is twice that of a normal person, and this means she could become a powerful mage. Lu gasps and mentions that a mage is a high-level profession from the combat class, and she could even end up a rare class mage. As these two were having this discussion, Xia begins walking into the transmutation circle. As soon as Xia steps into the circle, streams of fire explode and then condense in the sky above her, as a status screen appears in front of her displaying the rare grade combat class elemental mage, As soon as people see her class, everyone began cheering for her, and Master Zhang begins praising her on her class awakening, saying she will be a great mage. Xia's friends began complimenting her on her rare class, stating this time there is no way Lin can beat her. As Xia hears Lin's name, she gets a serious look on her face. With this, Lin walks past with an air of confidence and heads towards the transmutation circle. Xia thinks to herself that she has finally beaten Lin and there is no way he can win now. As this happens, Principal Lu asks Master Zhang what he thinks of Lin. He responds he appears calm, but he senses nothing special about him. Principal Lu then informs Zhang that there is 2 geniuses in this school. Miss Xia is the second, and Lin is the first. Zhang retorts that academic performance and class awakening are not always linked, so they will just have to wait and see. As Lin steps into the circle, a tremendous amount of energy is released into the environment. This energy condenses into a thunderous storm full of dark clouds, causing heavy winds to sweep through the courtyard. Principal Lu appears shocked as he looks into the sky, asking what the hell is this? Zhang clears his throat and explains that what is being seen is a vision, an indication of the level of power the class will be able to unleash. As everyone looks forth at the oncoming storm, Xiao begins to yell, "No, I won't lose to you again. How is this vision so big compared to my own vision?" Suddenly a voice shouts from the crowd, "There's movement in the clouds." From within the clouds, soldiers began to appear. As they got closer, it became apparent that these soldiers were undead. These surrounding students screamed in terror, fearing for their very lives. As they got a clearer look at the clouds, they could see a countless number of skeleton soldiers. Xiao began to fall into depression, realizing that she has no way to compete with this level of power. With this, the vision began to be absorbed into Lin's body and his class appeared. Combat class, unique class necromancer. Lin realized what this meant. A unique class is a special type that can only be used by one person, and unless he dies there will not be another necromancer. These unique classes are even rarer than legendary grade classes. After seeing his class, some of his classmates began complaining, how could such a boorish man have gotten such a powerful class? The circle must have malfunctioned. Others began saying that some hidden classes aren't that powerful and maybe his is weak. Some girls began talking about him, saying if he's a necromancer, doesn't that mean he will have to be around dead bodies all the time? And how, since he doesn't talk, maybe dead people would be best for him, since he would have no need to talk. But no matter what people said, everyone here was jealous of Lin and his new hidden class. But Lin didn't care what people thought and began walking away. Before he could leave, Master Zhang approached Lin and asked him to show off his new abilities, as no one had ever heard of a necromancer class. Lin asked him to wait for a moment whilst he checks his status. As Lin checks his status, it reveals Lin is a level 1 necromancer with a strength of 10, agility of 10, spirit of 20, and a physique of 10, and 10 summoning spaces to store summons. Lin also has the ability to summon a level 1 skeleton warrior. With this, he can summon a black iron level skeleton warrior. The levels for his skeletons go black iron, bronze, silver, gold, diamond, legendary, and finally divine. Lin's second skill is Soul Blaze level 1. This skill burns the target's soul and deals burning damage depending on his spiritual power and skill level. Looking at this, Lin realizes that increased spirit is usually a sign that his class is a mage. However, summoning is a skill of the summoner class. With this, Lin realizes that his hidden class takes attributes from both the mage and summoner classes. Lin attempts to use his ability, Summon Skeleton Warrior, and a flame appears before him and a black iron skeleton manifests out of it. Other students began screaming seeing the skeleton appear. Surprised that Lin now has this ability, their jealousy only increases. Zhang shoots a spiritual beam towards the skeleton warrior, and Lin gets a system message that the skeleton warrior was attacked, and does he want to counterattack? If no response is given within 10 seconds, skeleton warrior will immediately counterattack. With this, Lin orders the skeleton to stand down. Zhang is pleased with this, noting this skeleton is very vigilant. As Zhang says this, Lin glares at him whilst giving off a dark aura. Zhang thinks to himself that he didn't find much out about Lin's abilities, as the level gap is too high to be able to test against the level 1, and yet the summon still wanted to defend his master. How peculiar. Perhaps after Lin's level has gone up we will be able to see his class's true strength. Zhang then clears the air, stating Lin did a good job and maybe it will make a difference in the future. As Lin walked away with his skeleton warrior, everyone stayed far away from him. Gao was very excited seeing the skeleton warrior. He asked Lin if this skeleton was powerful. Lin responded nonchalantly, saying it should be better than him. Gao didn't believe him, stating the skeleton looks like he's wearing rags. There is no way he is stronger than him. As this was said, Gao's name was called, and he ran towards the transmutation circle. As this happened, Lin recalled his skeleton into his summoning space and checked his status, seeing now his summoning space says 1 out of 10. With this, Lin realized that he can hold 10 skeletons in his storage space, which he can take out at any time without using his spirit points. And as his level improves, he will be able to store even more skeletons within his summoning space. With this, Lin thinks about leveling up and how one day he will be able to summon powerful undead strong enough to kill dragons. Soon Gao returns, having awakened a combat class, Sword and Shield Knight. Gao mentions how he wants to fight with Lin, and that if Lin wants to kill him, to step over your dead body. Lin looks at him puzzled and says that he said it the wrong way round. Gao smiles as he finally got Lin to speak, and tells Lin he did it on purpose to make him speak. Principal Lu begins speaking, reassuring everyone that no matter what class they have awoken to, the school will still arrange for them to have places to improve themselves, as tomorrow the novice level dungeon in Shihai City will open and they will all enter to begin their training, and he hopes that they will all work hard and do good on the upcoming tests so they can all get into the awakener school of their choice. As the ceremony ends, Lin walks out thinking to himself that in the novice dungeon there will only be monsters from level 1 through 8 and that it will be much easier than fighting wild monsters. Suddenly Xiao runs over to Lin and declares that they will compete in the upcoming exam if he isn't too scared to do so. Lin responds with a simple okay and walks off. Xiao retorts that she will not lose to him. Sometime later at Lin's house, we see Lin looking at an old family photo of him, his sister and their grandmother. He thinks about telling his grandmother how he has awakened a powerful class, and tell his sister to wait for him as he will be coming to Xiaojing Academy soon. Lin heard a sudden knock at his door, only to see it was Principal Lu coming over to deliver supplies to Lin. Whilst there, Lu mentions to Lin that last year in Shihai City only his sister managed to get into Xiaojing Academy, and that before she left she made Principal Lu promise to take care of Lin Mayu. Lu turns to leave and Lin thanks him for the supplies. As Lu leaves, he wishes Lin luck for tomorrow's exam. Later in the night, Lin is shocked awake when he hears a voice in his head say system loading. As Lin opens his eyes, he sees a pale green-colored window appear in front of him. Lin is shocked by the sudden appearance of 2 notifications on the window, stating that the host has awakened the Necromancer class and his skills will now be optimized. With this, Lin obtained the God-level skill, Comprehensive Increase of Level 1, and the passive skill Damage Transfer. Lin was surprised by what he had just seen and immediately checked his status window. Within the window 2 new skills had appeared. Damage Transfer, Effect, all damage taken by the caster is taken by the summons. An overall increase. Level 1, Effect, all skill effects are increased by 5 times. Lin immediately decided to test out his new abilities and summoned a new Black Iron Skeleton Soldier. This cost Lin 10 spiritual power. The summoned skeleton stats were all 75. Lin smiled as he realized the stats of his skeletons had increased by 5 times, and with his damage transfer skill, he will be invincible. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and 30 likes for part 2. If you have any manga or manhwa you want me to cover, leave it in the comments.